who were witnessing you marching through?
No, it wasn't us. I think there was a group of Americans after us.
Yeah.
They were there. We left them there, the Americans, and they stayed in Saigon until the end of the war.
When you arrived in Saigon, there were a lot of Brits there, weren't there?
Yes.
Who hadn't been on the railway.
Who hadn't been on the railway line.
And is there something significant that
Yeah,
occurred
they
because of that?
were in the same camp as we were.
Yeah.
We joined them with.
Mm.
And so were the Dutch. So
Yeah.
the Dutch because we sort of home from home the camp there compared to what we'd been used to. And we didn't mind working down on the wharves because again, anything wasn't nailed down as a house. And I got myself a nice piece of silk and made myself silk shorts. So much better than my little G-string. You had to live the best you could, you know? And if you could see anything that was not going to be, if it could be eaten, you ate it. And if it was drink, you drank it, and if you could, you try to get it back into the camp, you know.
Now, I just asked you about how the French treated you, and I was really wanting to lead you to whether the French women in particular were, made efforts to throw things to you or anything like that.
I can't really remember that happening. I know they used to go out of their way to give us victory signs and things like that.
Yeah,
well, I know that some of the French did provide stuff for the camp to help with the men. So.
Well, I did introduce that intentionally because I had missed mentioning this earlier. I want to know whether you, when you were in Java, whether you were aware of the female prisoners of war there, and whether.
No, in Java, when we used to go out in working parties in Java, the Dutch women used to come out and throw food to us.
Yes, yeah.
And the Japs didn't like that. The Japs would bash the women up. But we reckon they had more guts than their men did.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
No,
they were very good, very sympathetic towards us.
So you're leaving Saigon. You're heading down to Singapore.
That was an interesting trip because we hadn't. Navy men had never been down through Malaya before, and we remember getting into the big cities as they are now. What is on the west coast?
KL.
Yeah, Kuala Lumpur. And they were pulled in the railway station in the train, and they pulled out. They brought in some containers of rice and stuff for us to. And the children are looking at us, and you can see they're starving. And so we gave them our rice. We didn't. We said,
isn't that incredible?
They need it more than we need it. Yeah, for poor kids, see they're looking at us, and you couldn't eat in front of them. And then we thought things can't have been that good down here. We didn't stay, we just stayed at the station, and they fed us there. Didn't really feed us, so they made the effort of feeding us, and then we went on again from there.
And on the train, if you had 30 odd guys into one of these trucks, was there someone who took the initiative and organised for people to be near the door for a while, and some lying down?
Well, yes, the Jap used to be a Jap guard, and he made certain he had the best position near the door.
Yes.
And if you wanted somebody to go and use the toilet and hang them out over the side, he'd have to move, otherwise he knew he'd get it.
Yeah.
The rest of us sitting down and taking turns lying down.
Yeah. When you got to Singapore, where did they accommodate you?
Well, they took us by truck to what is called River Valley Camp.
Yes.
And which we thought was nice. It was full of, when I say full, it was partly full of Gurkhas. And they were nice people when I was there, because they had chooks running everywhere, and they said, oh, you better, some Brits were in there, they said, some Aussies coming, you better tie up your chooks, they'll eat all your chooks. And the Gurkhas said, the Australians are our friends, they will not go after. But they used to give us our chooks, they used to kill us and give us some chooks.
Yes.
They were very good.
Yeah.
They were left there because the Japs didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Because they used to, they ended up putting Sikhs as their guards until they found the Sikhs as the Straits Recovered.
Yeah.
Because the Gurkhas wouldn't like to.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the Japs left them to their own resources.
Yeah.
If they wanted to go to town because they looked like locals, they just dig a hole and off they go and then come back and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long were you in Singapore before you were aware you were going to move again?
Well, we were in this little valley camp for a week or so, and then we were taken over to a little island called Philadama, something like that. And we're working on the graving dock that they were building on the mainland.
Did Robert Richards, was he over there with you?
Yes, yeah. Matter of fact, he treated me there because in his book, as mentioned, one bloke died from fish poisoning, and another one was very sick. The other one was very sick was me.
Really?
Yeah. We'd been eating this fish out of the, you know, as the tide went out, it had the fish in the coral island, you know, there.
Ponds.
Yeah. And so we pinched the fish out there and ate them. You know. We'll cook them and eat them. But some of them were poisonous. And one, they died from the fish there. And I started vomiting both ends viciously, so they dragged me along there. And that was the one that I mentioned in his book, but he didn't mention my name. He didn't know who I was. But they got a bucket of seawater and made me drink it. And they was thinking, big morsel. And then eventually I passed out, and then the next day I was right again.
Yes.
But that's drinking this hot water fixed me. It got rid of all the poison out of my system.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was interesting reading his book, and I thought, that's me.
It's a great book, isn't it?
Yeah.
Almost as good as The Guest of the Mikado.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was a penny dreadful, yeah.
Okay, so when did you know that you were going to be moved again? And did you have any idea where they were going to send you?
Oh, yeah, we knew we were still heading for Japan, but we were just waiting for a movement order to. So when we shifted out from this little island, Philadama, which was, we had coconut palms there, we couldn't climb up, and so we used to chop them down, you know, get the coconuts off them. But it was home from home. And when I said about the cookhouses in Tamarkan, on this little island, Tamarkan, I was off on sick leave after this episode. I was pretty sick, and I must have this fish poisoning, and so I didn't have to go over to the island the next day. So I said I'll give them a hand in the kitchen in the galley. So I used to go down there and get the water for them and do their fire and anything. So I filled in the time. There I was allowed to stay on sick leave, you know. And it was there that Bill Smith is a warrant officer, and Eric Leo, and anyway, they're the blokes that I'll be jumping ahead to what happened with them. I got tangled up with them on Rakuyo Maru. So I'll tell you more about them when we get to that.
Okay. Well, we must be just about getting to that.
Yeah,
the point when you board this vessel.
Yes, well we did, and we were stuck down into the holes. Now reading Rolly Richard's book, a lot of them end up having to lie around on the deck. I'm not too certain whether he's quite true there. I thought most of them had to get down in the hole because we were sailors, we were saying, after you. So we ended up on top. We knew that if we needed...
Such gentlemen.
Yeah, well, if we needed, we were up there, we could be more use. You know?
Yeah.
Because once we got going, they used to have little groups together and we'd start to talk about what happens if the ships do get torpedoed, what do we have to do? So we sort of told them what's the best thing to do. Always go on the opposite side of where the torpedo hits, and otherwise you get stuck in the ship, all this sort of stuff. And so it was just like a sea trip on any other sea trip, you know. They gave us the usual rice and watery stew soup or whatever it is to go out the top of it. Just like all their ships are not very interesting.
How many days were you on it before you know the convoy came under attack?
Yeah, well, we left on the 12th of the. Now you got to know all these dates now. 6th we got sunk. No, 6th we left Singapore, and the 12th we got sunk.
Oh, so 6 days.
6 days. Yeah. So you should know.
I was just going to say it was 17th when you picked up some wood back later.
Yeah, 6 days, and the morning of in the early hours of the 12th, we heard these firing, and we knew something was happening. It was when one of their escorts had been sunk by one of the submarines, and but that went quiet again after that until the first ship in the convoy then to be really hit was one of the tankers in front of us, and she went up with a terrific roar and flames, and then the other one went up, and of course the ocean became covered with flames, and by this time ours took a torpedo, 2 torpedoes, one through the forward, one up through the engine room, and so we said, well, we had to get everybody out of the holes. And so we helped us with what we could. This was the main idea, we wanted to stay up top though, so we could be of some use. And so everybody got out. We got them out all right. Because the main thing is stop anybody panicking. And no, they behaved well. And I think the officers found that we were used to them because officers were giving orders and we were helping them to channel them in where they best be.
Yes.
We didn't want them over where the torpedo hit because if that was going to, they'd sink that way. And so it took, by the time the main ship had been hit, the convoy split up. You can see Japanese destroyers racing around, dropping death charges and all that. And so we got over, eventually they said, with the officers, we said, well, the ship's got to sink, and if it's going to sink, a torpedo hit on the port side, we advise every man to jump over the starboard side. That way they won't be sucked into the torpedo hole. And when we started drifting towards the burning water, we said, well, you know, so the officers, we think it'd be better if we got off, because we were going to drift into that burning water and that'd be curtains. So we all decided we'd do that, we'd jump over and swim away from our ship, not knowing how long it was going to stay afloat, and swim away from where the burning oil was on the water.
I think we might just stop there. Why will I do that?